When I say politicians, some of them are NDC people, some are MPP people.
In government.
Some could be in government.
Yes.
Some could. It's not every politician that is in government.
Well, that's true.
There are MPP people who are politicians but are not necessarily holding government positions.
That's true. That's true. Fair enough. So, Murtala, let me come to you now on this.
Let me say good morning to you. Good morning to my senior comrade. And good morning to the minister who has identified a different definition. I'll make my points anyway. A different definition for politicians. You see, and I was surprised when he said that we shouldn't. It is not about politics, and that there is the political will. You ask him whether the challenge is the lack of political will. I said, well, he thinks that there is none like political will. In fact, political will is missing completely.
How is there no political will?
Why? The reason why...
The president put his presidency on the line.
In fact, in serious countries, this president should have resigned. On the basis of that, this president should have resigned. If you put your presidency on the line, you have a Chinese citizen, not a Ghanaian, who was arrested, put under legal custody. The woman was being prosecuted in this country. The president took that woman from lawful custody, who was being prosecuted by a court of competent jurisdiction, and paved way for the woman to leave the country.
There were certain considerations.
What considerations?
Before that happened.
What considerations?
There were considerations.
What considerations?
We had a senior minister.
What considerations?
Could you tell us the considerations? Senior minister at the time tell us that it would have been of no benefit, for us to have prosecuted her here.
So shredding.
I mean, she was apprehended. She was deported.
Please, shredding our laws into pieces. Is that what the senior minister is telling us? We have a law in this country. The president doesn't govern by his own beheads. He governs by the constitutions and the laws that are made, approved by all of us together. That you have a woman, a Chinese woman, who engaged in the most despicable act of degrading our lands, denying people their livelihood, affecting water bodies, affecting farmlands of people. That woman is arrested, being prosecuted, and in fact, by a court of competent jurisdiction, the president disregarded everything and took the woman out. You see, in this country, that is the crux of hypocrisy. And when the president did that, I never heard the Ghana Bar Association say anything. I never heard them say anything. I never heard the clergy say anything. This was an attack on the judiciary. And if there is anything the Chief Justice should be concerned about, these are the kinds of things he should be concerned about. That was a direct attack on our entire, in fact, the core of our governance, the core of our state, the core of our being as a people. Because if you have your laws that are shredded, because of what? What explanation can anybody give?
There are diplomatic considerations.
What diplomatic considerations? And I'll give you an example. I had the privileged opportunity to have served as a deputy minister for information. And I remember when the issue of Galamsey came up under the NDC. And these Chinese were being, deported, even though without much evidence that some of them were engaged in the bad. We felt, based on the intelligence we gathered, the Chinese government sent a high-powered person, in fact, who can be described as a prime minister of China, to Ghana. I had the privileged opportunity to have sat in the meeting. And the former vice president of Blessed Memory, Emisata, the Chinese government, in fact, the person who came, their leader, he espoused the decades or century-long relationship between Ghana and China and felt that what we're doing, we're targeting Chinese nationals and that it was going to dent, if you like, our diplomatic relations. The vice president, Emisata, was just listening to him. When he finished, he responded calmly that for him to make any comment, he would love that the man himself get into a chopper and go around see the water bodies. It was arranged. I didn't participate in it. The following morning, when we had the meeting, the man himself said that China will not tolerate it. This is how visionary and strong leaders respond to such. I mean, how? This was an attack. So there is no any political will.
But there's a systematic plan by the governments, and we saw it begin with John Peter Mewu when he was Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, to, streamline activities of small-scale miners, and then weed out the illegal miners.
So, Lantan, this idea of diplomatic nuances, and in fact, with all apologies to our viewing public, diplomatic nonsense, that because of our diplomatic relations with China, a Chinese can walk into this country, destroy our water bodies, and we say that because of what? Because of the little monies we beg from China. This is completely unacceptable. Again, if you tell me that this government has demonstrated and shown some political will, how come that the water bodies are still the same way they were when they said they were going to fight Galamsey? Under the NDC, we didn't have the level of destruction that we have had under this government. And the president put his entire presidency online. Yet he has failed woefully. In a serious democracy, this man should not be the president. He should have resigned on principle, but he could not do that. Another very important point that ought to be looked at in this country, you have the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources spending over 5 million Ghana cedis in a so-called dialogue on Galamsey. Does it even make sense to you? Dialogue. Just get people into a hall. Over 5 million Ghana cedis. And you think that even in adversity, even in crisis, they still want to make money on the people of this country. It is also important to state that you had a journalist of multimedia who discovered through his own investigation military men with uniforms and their names providing security for these Chinese who are engaged in the destruction of our water bodies in the name of Galamsey. What happened to them? What happened to those people? Lantam, didn't you see it? It was everywhere. The military men who were there fully armed, under whose authority were they there? So if you set up so-called committees and anti-Galamsey task force, spend millions of Ghana cedis, yet the water bodies still look like milk that is mixed in a tea. That is how the water bodies are. This is a monumental failure. So if you sit here and then you proffer the same, procedures in solving a problem that you are not able to solve, you get the same results. You see, Albert Einstein once said that the significant problems that confront us can never be solved with the thinking we had when we created them. And as long as we continuously engage in the same processes of finding solutions to this, and those processes are not yielding anything, we will still have the same problem. And I can bet my last penny that next year we'll sit here, if God let us reach next year, and be discussing the same thing. It is the political will. Everything about it has to do with the political will. If the government decides that I am going to stop this today, regardless who is engaged in it, you have national executives of this government who are told, who we are told have this. And some of them are building houses left, right, and center. Go to Pillar 2. You can count a number of the houses some of them are engaged in. Please.
Don't allow him to raise these allegations.
In this country. In this country.
Alleged people are building houses
in this country.
You have no evidence.
Oh, in this country. You have the minister. You have a minister for local government. My own sister, Ajia Lima, who had interaction with MMDCs. He was seated. He was there. He was in that meeting. He was in that meeting because it was MMDCs and regional. You are deputy regional minister. Perhaps.
So I was there.
Well, I want to believe you were there. Because except that you were not a deputy regional minister.
No, but I stated categorically that he was there.
Well, I may be wrong, but I'm saying.
But you said it with confidence.
Were you there?
And ferocity. So instead of asking you,
because it was a meeting. It was a meeting.
So if you say he was there,
then
without knowing that he was there,
I would drop. I'm saying that,
and that's what he's trying to caution you on.
It's understandable.
That if you are making statements, you should make statements with basis.
Lantam is understandable, but I'm saying that it was an engagement of MMDCs, including the regional coordinating directors. And the presume, of course, it's possible that he may be engaged, or he might have been engaged on anything. That is understandable. But I'm saying that, and you remember the statement she made. She said that some of you are engaged in Galamsey. We know you. We know those of you who are engaged on Galamsey. And we'll soon go after you people.
Yeah, and is that a political will?
Who did they go after? That is why when we say that it is the lack of political will. In fact, you gave me a lot of time.
No, let me come to Mr. Jantwa.
You gave me a lot of time.
But finish the point.
But I'm saying that she said it. Yeah. She didn't say that we had or we suspected. She said that some of you are engaged in Galamsey. We know those of you who are engaged in Galamsey, and will soon come after you. Look, I have said on this program, Lantam, if you remember, that there are politicians who are engaged, and I agree with him.
From both sides of the political
for a minister of state to gather MMDCs and stated publicly on national television that some of you are engaged in Galamsey, and we know those of you are engaged in Galamsey, we still come after you.
Your statement is not verifiable. You can't just come and sit here and say something that...
Lantam,
do you believe what he said?
Do you remember the statement? He remembered. It was on national television.
No, it happened.
No, it was on national television.
Yes, probably he meant MMDCs and said, there could be some of you involved, but no categorical statement that they are involved. What basis?
She said it.
Man can always
she said she knows those MMDCs who are involved, and then she'll come after you. She said it.
Look, you see, she didn't speak Mampurli. And she spoke English.
Yeah, she
and
said
if she spoke Mampurli, I understand Mampurli very well. And you also understand Mampurli. She said it. We know those of you who are engaged in Galamsey will come after you.
Yeah.
So one can conclusively say that MMDCs of NPP were engaged in Galamsey.
It's not true.
Why? Was there any NDC person who was appointed as MMDC? No. All the people who were MMDCs under the NPP, first NPP regime, they were all NPP, faithfuls. So there are Galamsey activists in NPP, Ketsi Aja Alima Mahama, and nobody has been able to tell us that this person is engaged in it. Okay. An aspect of it which he said, and I absolutely agree with him, has to do with the various stakeholders, the traditional authorities. You cannot tell me that the traditional authorities are unaware of what the people are engaged in. They are aware. So if we are fighting it and we continuously want to do it in silos, we will not find the solution. Those traditional authorities under whose custody those lands belong and those who are engaged in it themselves must be brought to book. The fact that you are a traditional authority doesn't make you a superhuman. When you go against the law ought to deal with you. Okay. So until we have the political will, and I can tell you, the political will constitute about 90% of fighting it. So until we have the political will, Lantam next year, we'll sit here lamenting and discussing the same issue. And Dr. Osu certainly could not have been wrong by giving them 0.2%.
Let me come to you, Mr.
I'll give them 0.001.
Let me come to Mr. Jantua.
The surface water body has actually
a member of your party.
Mr. Jantua, let me hear your input on this. Charles Bissiou, who is the Western Regional Secretary of the NPP, is watching the show. And he sent in this. He was with the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, and to the point that the doctor we spoke to earlier on the show, the expert from Colorado, he says with the 10 points that he mentioned, it's actually things that are being done by government, and so he sent something that as part of the government's efforts to address illegal mining and improve the formalization of the sector of the president, set up the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining in March. So they've done quite a lot of things, and he sent a list: vetting and verification of licenses, training of over 4,500 miners, registration of excavators, software known as GalamStop has been developed. They've drone pilots and data analysts were, put to use, facilitated the work of the drone pilots. Officers from the Minerals Commission have been trained. A lot of things have been done. The community mining program is there. It commenced in 2019. Tree planting and environmental campaign project was all done. So these are things that government is doing to deal with illegal small-scale mining. And Mr. Jantua, to you now, what is missing? Mr. Jantua. Mr. Jantua, I ignore them.
I can't ignore them because they're disturbing my
honorable members of Parliament.
I kept quiet when they were
talking.
Please
allow Mr. Jantua to make his point.
Lantam, I believe that this last term of the president should have been more nationalistic.
Is it not?
I don't think so. But when I say nationalistic, on issues like Galamsey, because it is shown that Galamsey still is rife in our system. And we've gotten to a time where all minds should be on the table. These two parties have been in power. My good friend, I've forgotten his name. Mutala is talking about, and they should do this. They were in power. They were in power.
They were no more in power.
They were also in power. They are now in power. At the point that the NDC left, what was achieved?
Right, a lot.
Where Galamsey is concerned.
A lot.
And if what was achieved, he's saying there's a lot.
A lot.
Were they able, the party in power now, were they able to take it over.
And they mess it.
So far as I'm concerned, the two parties haven't been able to handle Galamsey, period. They might have chalked some benefits, but it isn't strong enough. Look, two areas of life that are being affected in the world today, air and water. We need air to breathe, we need water to live. What are we doing about it? We got to a stage where we have to put politics aside and call on everybody to sit and handle this, including the traditional people. Yes, politicians are involved in Galamsey. There are certain things we can't say here because we'd have to mention names. I don't think it's fair on some of them. Some of them who have tried to fight it have been victimized within their own political party for trying to fight it. And this is what I say, two things that we should be very, very careful of: money and truth. If we put money before everything we do, and if we don't speak the truth to bring out the vagaries of the challenges we are facing, we are bound to doom ourselves. And it's happening. Why are people doing Galamsey? Because they feel there's money in there to be made, irrespective. Another challenge that we don't tend to look at is how we finance political parties. Because the politician has to go and find the money to stand for election. And how does he find the money? If he's not financed by individual business people, he has to involve in some illegality to make money. And we know it is there. What are we doing about it? We have water bodies that can outlive this country. Water bodies that can live this country. And don't you think, and it's leadership we're looking at. Don't you think if President Akufo-Addo and President Mahama sat in a helicopter and toured the entire water body space of this country together, do you know what that would signify? Do you know what that will signify? Instead of them knocking heads together, like this Chinese gentleman that Murtala is talking about, if the two of them did the same thing, put politics aside and said, this particular issue is destroying our country, let's put our hands together and see how best we can solve this problem. Do you know the impact of that? Do you know the impact of that in the lower echelons of governance in this country? And then you get the chiefs, big chief, Asante Hene, this, together and put our arms together. And unfortunately, the media started, talking about Galamsey. What has happened? It's fizzled out. But it has to be a constant thing that we do till we get the color of our water bodies back. Otherwise, the amounts of money we are going to spend, first in treating water, second in importing water, would have a direct effect on our economy, have a direct effect on the city, have a direct effect on our foreign exchange. And this is why there has to be a unified force to stop this Galamsey thing. And it's not only Galamsey, plastic waste. Affluence from cars, oil, all those types of things. Affluence from factories into the water table. It's not a question of one political party. It's a question of how do we as a people handle the challenges of water? Otherwise, what will happen? One government will come in and go, another government will come in and go, and the same rhetoric will go ahead. Hey, when we were there, we did it. Oh no, you didn't do it. Oh no, this is it. Then another government comes, same thing. Who does it help? And some of us will be dead and gone, and then you realize we've destroyed the water bodies completely, and would have to rely on other countries. I would believe that we do not have to depend on other countries to be able to find solutions, to be able to purify seawater. We have to be able to do it if the water bodies are going through what they're going through. But there's pollution because of plastics and waste and all that. But we have to find that technology. Who is supposed to make sure that this happens? What's the use of ECOWAS? If the facets of life are being threatened, what's the use of ECOWAS? And it's not only Ghana, around the sub-region. It's not all West African countries that have gold, but other forms of pollution is happening to water bodies. What are we doing about it as a unit?
Right.
Absolutely zilch. You see, you're stopping me. And that is the thing about being the last person to talk. You know? I think
15 minutes.
In as much as look, I'm not sure whether you heard what you call it yesterday, a news item yesterday at Botiano, in terms of the sand winning and how it's going to affect the people in that area and even the Weija Dam if we are not careful. I mean, the last time the Minister of Sanitation went to Weija, and she actually stopped sand winning companies winning sand, in real time. What has happened so far? Because it's threatening the Weija Dam.
Right. We've seized the excavator they were using.
You see, it's not a question. It's not a question of only seizing. It's a question of those.
Police.
Well, it's a question of those institutions to be able to monitor 24/7. Because as you were saying in your earlier submission with Ato, it looks as if we are inherently corrupt. It looks as if within us, we have corruption in us. Because whatever way it is, we need to make money. And money becomes the central focus.
Right.
Because it's not helping.
Right.
And the government hasn't succeeded in Galamsey, unfortunately.
They failed.
They haven't succeeded. And if they haven't succeeded, and I think the president has admitted that the Galamsey issue is challenging. So what do? Let's handle this thing as a national issue and stop the politics.
Right.
Put the politics aside.
The politics really never helps.
The politics doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
And we can't allow the politics to seep into something that can destroy us like that.
Right. Because of time, we need to move to our next issue. Very, very.
If you look at the water bodies across the country, we need to do more, but there has been an improvement.
Has there?
Yes, there's an improvement. Yes.
Where is the improvement?
Name the river.
The river Nkobia. They are all very dirty. We saw improvements when there was a halt on mining activities. But we are back to square one.
No. There's an improvement. And if you also
we
want
saw
to
an
know,
improvement from 2017 to 2018.
In fact, even in 2016,
we saw an improvement when there were no mining activities going on. And after that,
there's an improvement. But if you also want to know that the government has been fighting Galamsey, just go and look at the 2020 election results. all areas that you have Galamsey activities going on.
It's not fighting. How about
I mean, the
election?
people were
You are
upset.
talking about election results.
Yes.
How about
No, but it's not about election. It's about it's about the stability of the water and the destruction of the land. That's what we
government was fighting Galamseyers. People were involved in Galamsey.
How about Agrija?
They were determined to make sure they voted against the government.
So that's the measure for success
again.
No, how about Greater Accra?
No,
you lost almost every seat in Greater Accra.
Hold on, Mutala.
Because of the people.
Honorable Chinia, the measure we would want to use is the level of destruction.
It's not politics.
Honorable Chinia. Honorable Chinia.
How about Greater Accra?
Honorable Chinia.
There are reasons for it.
Because the people said they financed your campaign in 2016. It is on video.
Nobody.
It is on video.
And the NDC was moving
on video that they financed your campaign,
telling Galamseyers that when they come back, they will restore them to do their work.
I'm saying that they were on video.
Until we take politics out. And if you listen to
they said on video they financed your campaign.
You see, I have said from the beginning that politicians are involved. I have not excluded MPP. Listen, let me talk. I have not excluded MPP.
Let you talk.
Politicians across the divide, MPP, NDC are involved.
No, NDC, we are not involved.
For them,
your minister for local government said that your MMDC
they are not involved.
Your minister for local government said MMDC.
There are some constituencies where you have MPP, NDC MPs who are complicit.
Mention their names.
The NDC leaders who are complicit.
Mention.
The NPP MPs. Very well.
The former minister for local government said MMDCs were engaged.
We have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes more.
To go through the leadership.
I say Asha one. Mute their mics. Asha one. Thank you very much. Your mics have been muted. Let's move to our next issue. The Bureau of Public Safety in 2021 puts out a report, and that report has got to do with violent crime in the country. You've got just about 10 minutes, so three minutes each for all of you on this particular subject matter, and then we move on. 3 minutes each. But before we even get into that one, let me just remind you about what the Amin Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital is doing for you. They've got the best solution to your health needs. So visit their branches all across the country. In Accra, you find them at Dome and Klagon. You find them at Kijetia and Akwemata and in Kumasi. You find them at Apramado in Takrade. You find them in Koforidia, in Cape Coast, in Ho, in Hoho, in Sunyani, in Tamale, in Bolga, in Wa. There's an Amin Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital branch near you. So make sure that you get to them. And Amin, we say God is the healer. We'll take a short break and return and talk about what the Bureau of Public Safety has put out there about violent crimes being on the increase. Don't go anywhere. the studio. It's pretty interesting what happens behind the scenes. Pretty interesting, what happens behind the scenes. But we'll have to quickly deal with our next issue, gentlemen. I would want us to deal with these issues in 2 minutes each. But Harvest Praise 2022, dubbed the Choral Edition, is here. So come and enjoy uplifting performances by the World Choir Games champions Harmonious Chorale, multiple award winners Bethel Revival Choir, Pastor Edwin Datson, Reverend Pa Joe Markwe, and the host choir, the Evergreen Harvest Gospel Choir. So don't miss the spirit-filled and captivating drama performance also by the Harvest Theatre. It's on Friday, the 15th of April, 2022 at the Fantasy Dome Trade Fair, La Accra, 4 p.m. Single tickets, 60 cedis, double tickets, 110 cedis, triple tickets, 160 cedis, VIP tickets, 100 cedis. Tickets are running super fast, so buy your ticket now. Dial star 725 star 115 hash, star 725 star 115 hash, and get your ticket. Tickets also available at Sunny FM, Airport Shell, Bachona Total, and all Harvest Chapel branches. For inquiries, call 0544 365 119. Harvest Praise 2022. Get your praise on. And also, extra special Easter promotion is happening at CompuGhana nationwide and online beginning April 1st. So it's already begun. Shop for quality brands like LG, Samsung, Tecno, Infinix, HP, Dell, Lenovo, Sony, Bluetech, Sencore, and many more. Visit any CompuGhana branch this Easter season and enjoy discounts of up to 50% and gifts with purchases. It's amazing, and there's something for everyone. So visit CompuGhana this Easter. You can also visit www.compughana.com, or you can download the app CompuGhana on Android or your iOS and do your orders free delivery within Accra and Tema. Call CompuGhana on 0302 752 020 and 0243 143 143. Honorable Chinia, let me begin with you on this. Violent crimes, according to the Bureau of Public Safety, has gone up, and it's gone up significantly as compared to 2020 by 40.08%. And associated deaths with violent crime has also gone up. Greater Accra region and Ashanti region are reporting the highest incidence of armed robberies and other violent crimes as well. So from where you said, I mean, in just about 2 minutes, why would you say we are seeing this increase, and what is the way forward?
Well, I think that issues of crime are serious matters that we must all be interested, because you never know when a crime situation will be at your doorstep. And so when crime is going up, everybody must be worried. But I just have some crime index in Ghana from 2014 to 2021. It rather speaks to the contrary. I don't know, because the 2021 crime index shows that we're at 46.38%, and 2020 was 48.97%, which is rather higher. And if you look at, but I would say that between 2014 to 2021, you see is between 46 to 51 average, which doesn't look good. Continuously, the crime rate in Ghana, for me, it doesn't look good. And a lot of innocent people have died, have lost their property, and families have suffered.
I mean, just to put this in perspective, according to the Bureau of Public Safety's reports, violent crimes reported in 2021 increased by 40.8%. Reported associated deaths increased by 53.7% over year 2020. Top 3 most reported violent crimes in 2020 are murder, manslaughter, armed robbery, and aggravated assault. Greater Accra and Ashanti regions reported the highest incidence of armed robberies. Ashanti region is the murder capital, returning 23% of all homicide cases across the country. Central region dominated reported aggravated assault cases across the country. Firearm use in the Commission of Reported Violent Crimes has increased for the 3rd year running in 2021 by 57.6% over year 2020. So they are doing a comparative analysis between 2020 and 2021.
Well,
and they are giving us the figures.
Like I said earlier, it should be a warrant signal to everybody. And like you asked, there are many reasons why we continue to have crime situation being on the increase unemployment certainly is one of them. When people don't have jobs to do, they have to find something to engage themselves. You also have the drug abuse. I mean, people who commit crime certainly are not usually in their normal senses. They take drugs. In my constituency just 2 weeks ago, a very strong person, young man, was shot dead by armed robbers. I mean, the circumstances were a bizarre one, and he left behind 4 wives and so many children, and you can see that it's going to have a very serious effect on these many young children. 4 wives, you said, I don't know the number of children, but I believe the children will be many.
Very unfortunate.
And this, he was the breadwinner of the family. The mother is still there. He has other siblings. And so when somebody commits crime and somebody loses his or her life, the effect it has on the society is so enormous. And it happens because of sometimes unemployment, drug abuse. I mean, and one thing that I think we should be looking at is society must begin to look at how people get their wealth, because you find people within the community that people even suspect this person could be an armed robber, but people protect them. People don't talk.
Right.
And security is a collective responsibility.
Right.
If we don't support the security agencies by reporting people who you suspect to be criminals, I mean, cannot effectively fight crime.
Very, very important points you've made, Honorable. Muta, let me hear from you very quickly.
Lantam, there is no denying the fact that the security situation in this country is getting worse. In fact, in 2018, which was reported in 2019, the Ghana Police Service themselves reported the first quarter of 2018 to have registered the highest armed robbery ever in the history of this country. That, for me, is extremely worrying. And I agree with my brother entirely that it's a multifaceted, if you like, reasons. One, unemployment, even though there can't be any justification whatsoever. Abuse of drugs and substances. And 2, the proliferation of arms into our societies. Yeah. It is very common. Let us also say that it is the responsibility of the state. The issue of security in a country, the responsibility lies hugely on government. So when there is a failure in tackling security issues, you would have what we are experiencing today. Now, the community and citizens must also contribute towards, stemming the tide. But that responsibility is the state. When you have party vigilantes, particularly in Kumasi, who could walk into a court of competent jurisdiction, but for the intervention of the police would have lynched a circuit court judge, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. And in fact, as if it was just all, and within 2 years, the same group of people engage in the same thing. I mean, sometimes...
No, so they were tried.
Who was tried?
They were tried and fined.
No, they were not. Nolle prosecutor doesn't mean acquittal. It doesn't mean acquittal.
I'm no more interested in the case.
No, but some of them were prosecuted and fined.
I'm saying no, on that particular issue, there were 2 instances.
Yes.
The virtually lynching, if you like, the security coordinator.
Yes.
And those who went to the court.
Yes.
So I'm talking about those who went to the court. And again, in this country, at the seat of government, you had the same vigilante who got a police officer, Nanka Bruce, virtually lynched that gentleman. And know what the Flagstaff House was interested in? They were not interested in those party boys who nearly lynched a police officer. They were interested in the one who took the video. So clearly, there is government complicity.
Why do you say Flagstaff House?
Right.
What is your proof?
But I have to come to Mr. Johnson.
At the seat.
What is your proof?
No, it happened at the seat of government.
Always make allegations, unsubstantiated allegations.
It happened at the seat of government.
Your propaganda
and
is
it is also made very clear that they were investigating to find out.
You have to stop him from making those he makes statements he cannot.
No, but these things happen.
It happened.
These things happen.
But
it happened.
What is the evidence that Flagstaff was
interested? They were
interested
looking for the one who took the video.
What is the evidence? Give me the evidence.
No, he's talking about what happened there.
What happened. But he said Flagstaff House was interested in who took the video.
Mr. Johnson, I didn't hear you. Mr. Johnson.
Stop making founded allegations all the time.
I am telling you, they were looking for the one who took the video.
Please mute their mics for me, Director. Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
There are population of arms coming into the country.
Yeah.
However, there are homemade arms too.
Yes.
At least that we can control. We are not controlling. Apart from that, the report also says 42% of reported homicide cases were executed using machetes, knives, and sharp double-edged tools. Look, the devil has work for idle hands. And we have to be very, very strategic. That's why some of us continue to call for a long-term national development plan in terms of how we place employment. We have to be strategic. Because if you're waking up in the morning and going to work, you don't have time to go and kill somebody. If you're going to work, you don't have time to go and look for arms. And probably the media also doesn't help. Why? Because of some of the films they show on their networks. Rich people, sometimes even local films, they have armed robbers going in and carrying guns and all that type of stuff. It doesn't help.
Right.
Again, you're stopping me.
Well, our time is up, Mr. Janto, unfortunately.
The adverts were too much.
We have to wrap up now.
We spent
The adverts were too much.
No, we spend more than an hour. We spend more than an hour.
He used almost half
We
of them.
spent more than an hour. Thank you very much.
You've given both of them a
Honorable
lot of
Chinia
time.
is Deputy Minister for Sanitation, Water Resources, and also MP for Sisala
I
East.
need water in Tamale
Ibrahim
Central.
Murtala Mohammed is MP for
former
Tamale
Deputy
Central.
Minister for Information, former Deputy Trade Minister, former Deputy Youth Employment Coordinator. They mess up the youth
Mr. Kwame
employment.
Jantua is a member of the CPP and a private legal practitioner. My name is Lantam Papanko. We'll be here again tomorrow to bring you another edition of GH Today, but this is where we have to end it today. Up next is Expressive. Do have a wonderful day.